Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. We are back again. Us, the guys, the fellas. I am alongside Mr. Endo Mills.
Hi, I'm hungry. How are you?
I want to know if anyone's counted how many podcast episodes you eat on versus not eating.
It's more.
You got to be eating on 95% of them.
I'm a big boy. I gotta eat.
There you go. We are also here with Mr. Sin for the win. Sin, how are you? How'd the weekend go?
Yeah, it went pretty good. I'm doing okay.
Still adapting to life back in the States?
Yeah, it fucking sucks here, man. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I've been bored shitless being back here. Like I don't even want to play video games. They're boring.
I just want to go explore old Finnish freaking seaside forts.
Yeah, exactly. I want to have
Bullshit.
the shit blown out of me by the wind.
You did start a new franchise mode this weekend, though. For
I did start a new friend. That's very true. Yeah, I had to skip today because I had to playing some Warhammer with my buddy.
Priorities.
That's
am I right?
Yeah.
NHL in July or Warhammer?
Yeah,
You decide.
playing Warhammer.
Oh, goodness. Today, though, we are back. We're going to talk about all the biggest things in the hockey world over the past week since our last show. But before that, as always, we need to mention that this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Manscaped. You can use code Tougie at checkout for 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping at manscaped.com. Whether you're in your normal office or like me today in my mom's arts and crafts room.
It's nice.
Shout out. Oh God, we got the paint set up behind me. There's a sewing machine right there. It's madness. I said this on stream, the one that I got the stream from this room so far. Any artistic talent just skipped right over me. Just nothing. Just zero. My artistic output. Notice I said artistic output is roster sharing, roster editing.
I don't get it.
I knew that would get Endo. It's all good. Again, this is a Manscaped advertisement, by the way. And again, whether or not you're in your own office or this fucking arts and crafts room, hey, Manscaped's got you covered. Not only are they the best tools you could possibly get for the job, pretty much everything. Easy to take with you, easy to travel. I had to go to a wedding this weekend. You think I didn't travel with Manscaped gear? You bet your ass I did. Your freshly shaved ass. If you're into that sort of thing, Manscaped's got you covered. Code Tougie, 20% off. You know the deal. Thank you to Manscaped. They've been with us for like a year and a half almost, and they're lovely. Lovely, lovely people. I will note it's about 1,000 degrees in this room right now. So we're doing what we can to make this happen. I can't really complain about the heat when there's a Californian in the room. But
Yeah.
Dude, it's been what now obviously we have plenty of Canadians that listen, but what's the weather been like in old California?
Where I am, it's horrible. It's just been no less than like 100 degrees. Finally, it's dipping below 100 this week. Yeah, so to go from beautiful, beautiful Finland with like 70-degree weather every day. It got hotter, a little bit up towards 80 for all you Canadians out there. Like 22 to 26 degrees is around what Finland stays at. And then I get here, and for all you Canadians, it's like high 30s to low 40s Celsius. So it's fucked.
Yeah, dude, past 3 days for this wedding, the one thing that sucked is it's just like, oh, it's an outdoor wedding. And on the day of the wedding, the high was 97 in Maine with a feels like of like 102.
Oh, because you have humidity, yeah.
Thank God the building next to where it was being held outdoor was well air conditioned, and it's like, okay, we'll be outside for 15 minutes, and everyone run back inside. Great wedding, had a great time, but temperatures just, God damn it, it's been a fun time.
Yeah, it's been a scorcher here too. Yeah,
go ahead.
Just to jump in there, throw my Canadianism in here with Toronto, or Toronto, or whatever the fuck we call it nowadays. It's been crazy here. Just randomly, just super fucking humid out of nowhere, and it's just been like that. We had a really, really bad storm yesterday, It was just pissing rain for like a good half hour.
That would be
Just,
nice.
just going through. Yeah, it
I've
made
been
it better.
dealing with thunderstorms
We haven't had
all day.
fucking clouds in 2 weeks. Like literally, we haven't had clouds.
Oh, bring clouds back to California.
Yeah, give me something to yell at.
Shake your fist.
Yeah.
As always, we mention on this podcast our lovely Deal with Manscaped. We also bring up the viewer questions that you guys send in. Again, the link to the Discord's in the description, whether you are watching or listening to this podcast. And you could be like one of numerous people today, because grand scheme of things, not a ton to talk about in the past week. The big stories are there, but end of the day, not a ton to talk about. So we have multiple questions from some of you here today. We will start off with one of our favorites, Scroopy Noopers. What is your favorite wildlife/nature footage, video, or photo? Wildlife/nature footage. I mean, Sin's answer's got to be just anything Finland related right about now.
The entirety of Finland.
No, I don't need it because I was there. I don't need a footage of it. Oh man, that's a tough one.
I mean, for me, like I've always mentioned this. Like, I mean, you know, you could talk about like footage, video, or photo. Like, I don't know about you guys. I'm like, I try to view the positive side of it. I'm sure some people would be like, oh, I just go to r/nature is metal and watch lions fucking feast on gazelles or some shit. I'm like, yeah, I don't need to think about that. Every once in a while on stream we end up doing this, especially if we play like GeoGuessr, and we end up at like a zoo. I always mention like my favorite animal is the shoe-billed stork, because its nickname is the Murder Muppet. And that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a fucking Muppet, but this thing could kill you.
Yeah.
And they love to dance, apparently. It's like a hello. They just shimmy. It's the best. It's just this fucking dinosaur-ass Muppet who likes to shimmy. So anything related to the shoe-billed stork, I'm in.
That's good.
Yeah, for the visual listeners on the podcast, I'll make sure to throw up a little shimmy here for you guys, so that way you're left out.
There you go.
Innovation.
And Sin, I mean, tough choices, but do either of you have one?
Sin, you go first.
Oh man, I'm still thinking.
Me too. That's why
Sin
I told
doesn't
you
want
to
to
go
think about
first.
nature or the outdoors right now, okay?
Yeah, it's really depressing. Because it's too hot to go outside here for very long. Oh man, it's so tough. There's so much good nature stuff like to watch. Like I love that, but I don't know. Right now, it's like I really love cow videos, man. Like cows just doing cute shit because they're basically like huge ass puppies, man. Why even laughing? I still eat like hamburger and steak and stuff, but I'm starting to
really
feel bad
like
about
that
cows.
son of a bitch, but they're cute. Like,
yeah, they're cute as fuck. I'll feast on you, but like, yeah. I don't know. I can't eat as much red meat anymore, though, to be fair. So, gout plus me watching cow videos, I might actually cut out red meat entirely someday. We'll see.
God, what was it, the old South Park episode where it's like the
Fuck
boys,
you, dolphin.
you have to look at these
You will.
cute ass fucking cows. It's like, I can't kill this. I can't eat this.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the dolphin and whale episode with the Japanese.
Oh, well, that too. Jesus. Again, I did mention I try to avoid stuff like that. It's like, here's this gnarly clip of dolphins looking like they got attacked by jaws, and it's like, I don't want to watch this.
It's pretty rough. I don't like seeing that shit.
Endo?
I think my favorite one right now, because of like context behind it, is No Sleeves walking his dog in the field. Because it was a series of responses. He's like, yeah, everyone should go outside. It's a beautiful day. And so he tags Henrique and he tags Thrash. Like, go outside and go touch some grass.
It's a great day to touch grass.
And then Thrash is hilarious. So it's him green screening him touching grass. And then just like an old fat guy with like... And then Henrique just records his driveway. And he's just like, yeah, great day to be outside. I'm like, that's not really what we meant, but okay.
It's like, I'll walk to the car, the great outdoors. Beautiful.
That's probably my favorite moment, like recently. But I had an opportunity to go to Colorado a few years ago for a snowboarding event. and I recorded a bunch of stuff there, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
State I
Does
have
that
on
answer-
my bucket list, even though it's very similar in a lot of ways to where I live already. So there you go.
What state?
Colorado.
Oh, is that similar to Maine? Huh.
I mean, the idea of it's super outdoorsy, mountainous. If you want to go hiking, you want to go skiing or snowboard, it just
Maine has mountains? I didn't realize I had mountains. I figured that was.
yeah, shitload.
Oh, okay. Huh. Oh,
Not
fuck
like
no.
obviously to the crazy extent of the Rockies,
Yeah, okay.
but oh yeah, no, Maine is a gigantic hiking state. For
Oh,
sure.
okay. Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
got hiking. I didn't know if it had mountains, more like
Yeah.
Oh,
hills,
it's got
but-
mountains.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. From Cody, thoughts on Triple H being named the head of WWE Creative. So again, at a wedding all weekend. The only thing I saw on Friday as I'm heading out for the weekend, Vince McMahon steps down from WWE, and good. Just good.
I'm old. Bye.
He's just
That's basically
well, yeah, that's the guise of it. Is I'm old, bye. It's like, no, you're a gigantic piece of shit who's being investigated for using company funds to pay off women that you used your power dynamic to have sex with. Gigantic piece of shit.
Those are words.
Fucking bye. Like that's not like again, I talked about it. I grew up a wrestling fan, grew up a WWE fan. Like, yeah, oh, he's leaving. Are you gonna start watching it? No. Like, just no. Just fuck him, fuck that company, fuck off. I don't care. And Sin not being a gigantic wrestling fan, and Endo, I think, just enjoying wrestling memes more than anything else.
Yeah.
I imagine they have similar opinions.
Yeah, I don't care. He's a piece of shit. That's all I know.
There you go. From Fire Don Sweeney, name of the day so far. Everyone's favorite cheese. Sin, we'll throw to you first.
God damn it.
We
Oh
talked
man,
about that
it
before.
depends on what it's for. Like, I just have to
Exactly.
choose a favorite cheese in general. Like, that's okay, but then also it's like, what's the context? Am I just eating cheese? Even
Your
then, I have a couple
favorite
of choices.
universal cheese.
Yeah, it's got to be sharp cheddar. That can go on a lot of different stuff, man. Like, it's
Yeah.
so good. You can eat it with salami. You can even put it on a burger if you want. Can't do grilled cheese with it, but
Sandwich, burger, crackers, crumble it into a salad. Like it's the way. Endo Mills, your favorite cheese.
I think we've had this conversation before.
See, I thought so too, but Sin didn't remember.
Yeah.
I can talk about cheese all the time. So whatever.
Honestly,
There you go.
I like Havarti. I'm a big Havarti
real good.
fan. Yeah, get some extra extra peppers in there on top of that as well. Just beautiful. I usually get Polina to grab me some from there's this Russian supermarket kind of like up near the city, and we just grab. I swear to God, like $50 worth of cheese, just different assortments. Just make either sandwiches with it, make mac and cheese with it, or just eat it straight because I'm a fucking boss.
Sure. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Next question from Hawks, because why not?
Oh, you don't
What's
have a favorite
everyone's-
cheese, Tougie?
I agreed with you on the sharp cheddar.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
From Hawks,
There
what's
you
everyone's go-to soda if you drink soda? Lamau.
Le meow.
Endo.
meow.
French
Good choice.
French cat.
What is it? Dr. Pep. Dr.
The old
Pep.
Dr. Pepper, huh?
So Endo, you're agnostic, huh?
What?
Have you ever seen that? Apparently, he doesn't watch South Park as much as I do.
I haven't watched South Park in a long time. Like very, very long time.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Someone out there will get it. I'm not going to explain it. Someone out there is
There
going
you
to get it. And that joke's for you guys.
There you go. Sin, a
Mhm.
favorite soda, if there is one.
Yeah, again, kind of depends. But I if I'm just have to choose one, probably root beer. Go diet with it though. But yeah, good root beer, man. So it just hits the spot. Like it brings you back to childhood. Also, like you think of root beer floats and whatnot. But yeah, root beer's got to be it. And it's
Fair.
great to
I'm-
pair with a cigar too, by the way.
There you go.
Noted.
Definitely not a
sounds
huge
weird.
soda person at this point. I'm kind of with Endo, like with
Should
both of
drink
you,
a root
really.
beer
Like,
right now.
There you go. Like it would be a Dr. Pepper or root beer if I had soda at this stage.
Yeah, makes sense.
Used to be a Sprite person because I'm like, well, it's not dark soda. How bad could it be? But I was.
Meanwhile, we all mentioned dark soda.
Wow. Yeah, that's just rooted in racism right there.
Is Sprite racist?
You
Lord,
said it, not me.
Yeah, it is. We live in a society.
Oh man!
All right, so the
Watch
episode
out for
title
the
can be the dark
soda.
side of Sprite. Jesus. All right, for those of you playing Tougies Take Podcast Bingo at home, how long until something related to race was mentioned? 16 minutes, roughly. Oh, God. From RG Dust, as we'll bring it back into hockey here a little bit. You get to be an assistant GM, but you have to choose between Ken Holland, Peter Chiarelli, or Mike Milbury to be your mentor. They will be there. They will be at their worst. At their worst. So
he also spelled "there" wrong.
He did, and I didn't want to mention it, but you know what? Let's just
Sorry, RG
drag
Dust.
through the mud. Through the mud. RG Dust, more like
You
RG
fucking
Dumb.
loser, RG Dust.
We hate you. Stop asking questions.
Stop
Leave.
listening.
Get out. Leave forever. Sin's kidding. I'm not. Be gone.
Ugh, this sucks.
All right. You get the AGM, Ken Holland, Peter Chiarelli, or Mike Milbury at their worst. So obviously Ken Holland at his worst, you could argue, has been some of his time with the Oilers, particularly his time at the very end there with Detroit, where he was signing like Justin Abdelkader to those monster, guys like that to monster deals, Danny the Kaiser. And Mike Milbury at his worst it's got to be Islanders Milbury, right? At the same time, we view this as a negative question. I don't. I view it as a positive. Here's how I frame this question. Who would you want to be the AGM to one of these three GMs at their worst? At their worst means presumably they're not going to be there that much longer. So what roster would you want to take over? And if we're considering Ken Holland at his worst for recent Oilers times, Ken Holland, because then I inherit Connor McDavid. Ball game.
Yeah, you got a point there.
On the flip side, Mike Milbury can teach me great self-defense by having the knowledge of how to beat someone up with their own shoe.
Yeah. I'd go with Peter Chiarelli because I'd get to it before Holland fucked up the Oilers worse.
Ooh.
I'd have a bit more cap space. I wouldn't trade for Duncan fucking Keith.
You'd have to deal with like Koskinen and Cassian, but fair point, sir. Well played.
Koskinen had a couple stretches there where he wasn't horrible.
It's true. It's true. Endo, what do you think? I think Sin and I both had pretty interesting ones. And can you make an argument for Mike Milbury?
I think with Milbury, it's basically every day there's a possibility of a new fucking stupid trade happening. So teaches you, he'll definitely teach you how to make an ass of yourself and still be proud and still be confident in your roster.
How to be wrong all the time, but still have a job with Mike Milbury.
A Mike Milbury story. ESPN 30 for 30.
One man, all the wrong decisions.
Oh man, that'd be
highlighted over him beating the guy with his own shoe. Career highlight after career highlight, still just beating the guy with his own shoe.
The TSN turning point is just the contact of the shoe.
We bring back sports science for a slow motion on how it would actually affect you to get hit with the shoe. Oh, it's like, here's Brandon Jacobs lighting up our host as he runs over him like a running back would. Here's Mike Milbury hitting you with a shoe.
Due to the velocity of the air and the interference with the noise pollution, the shoe was supposed to be going at a speed of 15 kilometers per hour, but yet it was going at 17 because he tore his ACL 5 years ago. And you're just going off like that.
And the weight of the average male loafer at the time was about 3.7 kilograms heavier than it is now. So the lack of aerodynamic force results in a heavier impact. Like, I want
After all
to
this
happen.
news, it makes you really think: what broke first, the leather of the shoe or his spirit?
Did it break? I thought he just took it off.
You just broke the guy's will to live. At least it would have broken mine. You get beat up with your own fucking shoe. Where do you go from there?
That's such a weird situation too. Like just beating a guy with a shoe. First of all, they're in the crowd. Like,
Yeah, the Bruins and Rangers ended up in the crowd. And then, yeah, you beat a man with his own shoe. It's incredible. Absolutely
So bizarre.
incredible. Pens fan asked a question about some crazy NASCAR finish yesterday. I was at a wedding, man. And as it is, I was watching real racing on Sunday. Formula One, where the same guy won again.
where the wheels are smooth. That's all I know.
Where the wheels are smooth and Ferrari's collective brains are even smoother. Formula One. And the last question comes from BK. Who's the cover athlete for NHL 23? Now, I will say this. I did see on social media that a lot of people are saying Zegras.
So it should be.
Despite my connections with EA, I have no fucking idea who's on the cover. So if somebody found out, cool. Good for them. I legitimately don't know who it is. In terms of who I'd like it to be, I'm with Sin. I would be cool with that. You know, you got to think of like your younger, more marketable players. And while Trevor Zegras might not have the most name value to like the common hockey fan, like those who know that he is theoretically, you know, the part of that like next wave of high-end NHL talent because of the creativity that he brings.
Yep.
So, and I mean, again, I'm not sure of too many gameplay directions with NHL 23, but with how the game in general has been, at least Sin, let me know if you disagree, as someone who plays defense a lot. You know, it just feels like so much of the gameplay is still so offensive focused.
Yes. Yeah.
And
completely
well, if
offensive focused.
If you're going to focus on offense and creativity, who better than Zegras, right, Enda?
Yep. Excuse me, I had something in my throat. That's bullshit. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Zegras, or they're gonna have fucking Austin Matthews as a cover boy again.
I
Like
mean, Connor McDavid's due for a second time if Matthews has been on it twice, right?
Yeah, at this point,
No.
probably. They might just flip flop back and forth. I want them to do more like dual covers. Like I know FIFA had that a lot, where I have a feeling that if EA goes full out and gets like the PHF license or PWHPA license on there as well, which I feel like that's due, I could see them doing something where it's like a man and a woman on the cover. That'd be pretty cool.
Like, how cool would it be for like? And granted, digital versions mean, you know, digital versions are what they are. But how cool would it be if you go into like a Walmart in Canada and it's like freaking McDavid and Marie-Philippe Poulin on the cover, but in the States it's like Austin Matthews and Hillary Knight. That'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be cool.
But obviously covers don't mean typically as much because obviously digital sales are what they are, but still.
Do they even do the voting farce anymore? I don't think they do they?
No. I don't remember.
Pretty much everyone knew that it was bullshit and the votes didn't matter.
Yeah, God, who, like, 2BC especially was pushing for, like, Zemgus Girgensons or something like that to be on the cover.
I can't remember. Like,
I forget who it
all
was.
I know is, like, it's 100%, like, yeah, it's all marketing. Like, they're not gonna, like, they weren't gonna let the fans choose, like, ever. Like, I think that voting was all fake.
NHL 17 cover vote.
The cover vote was Tarasenko.
Allegedly was Ben, Pavelski, Voracek, Hedman, Tarasenko, Barkov, McDavid, Kopitar. Ended up being McDavid. NHL 15 had a cover vote as well.
17 was Tarasenko.
Yeah, 17 was Tarasenko.
17 was Tarasenko, excuse me. That's right. 18 was, I'm pretty sure 18 was McDavid after that. I'm trying to find.
What was 19? Oh, Matthews.
19 was PK Subban.
Really?
Yeah. The whole.
Oh yeah, yellow.
Yeah, just the yellow cover. I'm trying to find who was up there for like the NHL because even it looked like NHL 14.
15 was Bergeron.
Had a cover
14
vote.
was a fan vote, and that was
Brodeur.
Brodeur, yeah.
Yeah,
And then it
14
was
Brodeur, but I'm
Giroux.
trying to
Then it
find
was
the list of candidates here. Okay, so I found this. NHL 12, I guess, was the
Stamkos.
first time there was a cover vote, and yeah, Stamkos
Mhm.
won. But here were some of the voting matchups. Tuukka Rask. So each team got you were allowed to vote for one of two people on each team. Washington, you could have voted for John Carlson or Brooks Like.
Lol.
Florida was Stephen Weiss or Tomas Fleischman.
Good God.
Yeah.
Buffalo's nominees were Derek Roy or Thomas Vanek.
Derek Roy.
God, for, the Blue Jackets was Ryan Johansson or R.J. Umberger.
Used to call him Hamburger Man when I was younger.
In the Flames, it was Mikhail Backlund and Matt Stajan.
Wow. Remember when
So-
Backlund was pretty good, guys? Yeah, he was like a second liner at one point.
Yeah, a lot of high promise for that Mikhail Backlund. So yeah,
Oh,
there was
man.
there was a really weird one that I remember from 2BC, especially really pushing for people on social media at the time to try to vote for like just this absurd option, like legitimately like RJ Umberger-esque name
Yeah.
value,
Yeah.
and it would have been incredible. It would have been. Yeah, shit. So with that, everybody, again, thank you as always for sending in your questions. We do appreciate it. It helps add a little bit more to the show when, again, there's not too much to talk about. We do have to bring in the whole quick note of serious subjects that there isn't too much to go in depth and discuss. Obviously, Hockey Canada, we talked about that on last week's show, mentioning the continued evolution of the 2018 investigation. And in that time over the past week, we have learned that they are now not only investigating something that happened in 2018, but as well 2003. And you also had Edmonton Oilers owner Daryl Cates being named as a third-party defendant in a completely different suit after allegedly paying about $75,000 to have sex with a then underage girl when he was 53 years old. Again, these aren't topics that we can really discuss too much because all we'd really be doing is regurgitating the information that is coming out from the likes of Katie Strang and so many others. Of course, Rick Westhead really at the helm of all of this. But as hard as it is to hear stuff like this, and as we wait to see what ultimately happens, again, it's the same opinion that I have, at least. Good. Shine the spotlight on these people. Because again, especially hockey fandom wise, every single person who becomes a hockey super fan, you're in the online circles, you hear stories of, oh yeah, this person's like, oh yeah, no, I knew this person back in high school or back in the early stages when they were in the CHL or in college, and there was this story. Odds are you've heard hundreds of them, if not thousands. I have. Like there are threads out there of other incidents. Doug Gilmour, for example. A lot of Leafs fans just went, nope, not hearing it. But there's a rather infamous story out there about Doug Gilmour, Jeff Courtnall, and Scott Steve. Like, there's so much out there. Continue to shine a light on this stuff. It's to me only a positive thing as we continue to find out more. And yeah, the idea of eventually karma, and we'll use the term justice as well. It catches up to you. It does. And obviously, so much of the Hockey Canada story is the idea of perpetuating these negative actions and essentially allowing kids to think that it's okay.
Yeah. I'm just... why is Hockey Canada investigating themselves is what I want to know. Why do we allow these fucking organizations that are clearly corrupt to always investigate themselves? It's kind of nuts. That's my take on all this, is that, yeah, hockey culture's broken. Hockey culture's toxic. And if you just think all these are coincidences popping up or people trying to get money, you're a fucking moron. Like, you're an ostrich with your head in the sand at this point. Like, these aren't isolated incidents. Clearly. It's ingrained in hockey culture.
So it's not Hockey Canada. I can double check right now. Just look this up. So the police in Halifax are opening up the allegation, opening up investigation into the sexual assault from, says right here, the Athletic. Police in Halifax opening an investigation into an alleged sexual assault from nearly 2 decades ago involving members of the Hockey Canada 2003 team. So
What
it's
about the
not the
2018?
team itself. It's not the organization. It's the police getting involved and
What
opening
about
up.
2018? Because I don't know. It just says on here that Hockey Canada is investigating that.
Yeah, and London police reopened investigation in alleged sexual assault involving members of 2018 World Junior Hockey Team. So it's not a personal investigation.
So if I'm
It's
not
the
mistaken,
actual-
though, initially it was, and now it's being reopened and being more of an independent thing, if not outright with police.
Yeah, because
I believe so,
the
yeah.
last I heard it was internal, and I never liked that. But also, we
Yeah.
got the police investigating it, so I don't like that either. But hey,
Yeah. There's a
All in
lot.
all,
got to do it.
just super frustrating shit to hear constantly, but at the same time, no surprise, and that's the big problem with all of it.
Yep.
We'll leave it at that for now. And obviously, it's a hard right turn to then be like, hey, let's talk about actual hockey, and that's always difficult. But hey, it's what we're gonna do for the very end of this show. We're gonna talk about again all the signings that kind of happened, or at least not all the signings, but the big signings. We'll start off as well with the Pittsburgh Penguins locking up Kasperi Kapanen 2 years, $3.2 million, which means they are basically done for this offseason. But all in all, not a bad offseason for the Penguins. You know, again, they kept Letang, they kept Malkin, they kept Kapanen. You bring in Jeff Petrie. All things considered, I think Pittsburgh's looking okay. And we kind of talked about that last episode as well with the Metro Division and just the East in general. There are going to be some very damn good teams that miss out on the playoffs because it's incredibly competitive. Like the NHL, as we know, has strived for parity, and this upcoming season could have that on display to like the greatest effect I think that we've seen so far as hockey fans.
Yeah.
The Nashville Predators signed Nino Niederreiter, which I know disappointed Sin quite a bit. At least to my recollection, you were kind of hoping like, San Jose, that's a smart move, and
The price tag is incredible.
yeah, 2 years at $4 million for Nino Niederreiter, which is a pretty damn good deal. Leaves them with $4 million left with Yakov Trenin as their sole RFA to sign, so they might not be done. As we continue here, we are, 2 weeks? Almost 2 weeks into free agency, and there are still some big names out there, and a lot of teams that are running out of space. So a team like Nashville, depending on what they sign Trenin for, which will probably be between 1 and 2 million, you might be able to pick up somebody else half decent. And then based off of what Patrick Line ended up getting from Columbus, I don't hate 2x4 for Nino Niederreiter whatsoever.
It's really good. It's really good.
The San Jose Sharks. And I'm sorry to do this to you, buddy, but I know you're obviously going to be plugged more into the media surrounding the Sharks than I'm going to be able to. They signed Steven Lawrence, who came over from the Hurricanes in the Brent Burns deal. He was an RFA to 2 years at $1.05 million, which is probably a little bit more than you want to pay a bottom sixer, but it's not the most egregious. But it leaves them with just $2 million to sign 4 RFAs, including Mario Ferraro,
Who should be making $2 million minimum?
which kind of leaves that like, Lawrence making a couple $100K more than he should, Kunin making almost 3.
I don't understand that.
It really kind of puts a spotlight on Mike Greer so early into it, where you want to say like, okay, he's trying to navigate hurdles that he inherited. At the same time, unless Mario Ferraro is kind of willing to play ball and sign a bridge deal, someone else theoretically is going to have to go, especially when they have 4 goalies making at least $2 million now?
Yeah, 3.
3 goalies making $2 million. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is still hilarious.
Yeah, they're probably trying to trade a goaltender. That's why we have so many under contract. But yeah, like who are you going to do? Hill, you probably want to try to trade Hill because he's a big question mark. But you can Reimer's
literally
the easy
he's
one
like
to move.
6'7".
Yeah, like Reimer's the easy one to move. In my opinion, he was really good last season, and he's about $2 million. I think a lot of teams. But yeah, it's the Kunin contract that just blows my mind. I don't understand how he makes close to $3 million. He's a legit bottom sixer. I don't get it. I don't get. He's not a lock for the third fucking line.
just
I
feel
don't
like the
understand how
Sharks-
he's making that much.
I feel like the Sharks have gotten themselves into trouble in the past 5 years or so by signing
Mhm.
people to those type of contracts where it's like, well, this is his prove it deal. And it's like, well, you're probably paying too much for a prove it deal, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we tried way too much shit under the table handshake deals and crap like that. Like that Kevin Lebank thing. When he did the 1x1 and everyone freaked out, and then he gets signed for, a shit ton because it was an under the table handshake deal, and like, oh, we expect him to put up 60 points. Man, really? Like, yeah, it's.
Let's talk about Kevin Lebank real quick as a friendly reminder for everyone, as he is making $4.725 million against the cap this upcoming year and next. And
only 2 more? I thought it
yeah,
was 3 more. Thank God.
Again, 56 points in 82 games back in 18-19. And then since then, his endo is just dying of a nasal infection. 33
Yeah, my
points in
allergies
70.
are killing me right now. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. 33
Apologize.
points in 70 games, 28 and 55, and then last season, 21 games, just 6 points.
Yeah.
It's rough. It's a rough look.
That's why you don't give a 6th rounder that amount of money for that long. Like, it's like, oh, and maybe it's a Pavelski, but he never was. He wasn't close to that level of breakout. He could never put it together. He had a good game. He had a good game 7 against Vegas. Like, he's not some that whole team. Oh my God, yeah. You got rid of Burns for almost nothing. And they didn't utilize that correctly at all.
Yeah.
I don't think at all. It's the Kunin thing for me, man. Like, that's the one that really, I'm just like, what? How does he make that much? What are you expecting out of this guy? Because he hasn't done it. Whatever the fuck you're expecting out of it, he hasn't done it. I don't understand what they see in him. I can't make out what they're trying to do, and I'm trying to reserve judgment till the beginning of the season.
It's difficult.
But Mario Ferraro is a literal. He's a leader. He's a heart and soul guy, and you don't have him signed yet. You've prioritized Lorentz and Kunin over this guy. I don't get it.
Could be an expensive locker room guy. That could be another thing too. It could be a guy you just rally around, I guess.
The whole
I mean, you guys are
expensive
still kind of
locker room
like
guy though. When you're terrible,
Yeah,
the Sharks are going to be a bottom 10 team in the league.
Yeah, he's a future leader, which is why you want to keep him around. Like, that's my opinion. He needs to improve some parts of his game, but I mean, he's still young. Like, defensemen develop later. He's what, 24 now? He's
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. Very weird stuff happening.
Then we kind of move into the big news to stop Sin from just being depressed about hockey.
Are we skipping one? Okay.
Well, no, I am going to bring that up. I'm going to include it in the big news because it is kind of a bit of big news. The word was at the draft that this player was expecting a trade to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
But Pierre-Luc Dubois has re-signed with the Jets for 1 year at $6 million, where it still feels like the clock is ticking a little bit until he's a Hab. So I feel like for the Jets, it's like, okay, cool. Your 1-2 punch down the middle is Mark Scheifele and Pierre-Luc Dubois, which is awesome. But the feeling is like neither of them are going to be Jets for that much longer.
Yeah, Winnipeg feels a bit directionless, which is a far cry from a conference finalist a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and just the amount of talent they've lost since that conference final, it's a little bit tough. So again, keeping Dubois, 24 years old, the guy's awesome. I mean, he had 60 points in 81 games last year. Of course, maybe transitioning over to a new team. It's not like Patrick Laine set the world on fire either for the Blue Jackets, and he got paid, and we'll get to that in a second. But same time, just I don't know, like good for the Jets. I mean, he was an RFA. He wasn't likely to go anywhere, but at the same time, just I feel kind of bad for teams, and we'll get into that as we talk about these last two teams who are in the situation of, maybe we can trade this guy because the market might be a little bit screwed up. Which brings us to Columbus first and foremost here. They announced the Patrick Laine contract on Friday. 4 years. Pretty good. $8.7 million. It's a little bit pricey for Patrick Laine. Who, look, I like Patrick Laine. Again, I was pushing really hard for the likes of the Nashville Predators to go out and get Patrick Laine. But he is a one-dimensional player. What he does very, very well. But, you know, you're kind of close to like Mike Hoffman territory in that you're one of the best at what you do, but you don't do much else. $8.7 million for that is pretty steep.
Yeah.
Pretty steep.
Yeah.
Paying him like
And he
you
did
paid
have
Crosby.
56 points in 56 games last year, though. So that it makes you feel better about it, certainly. And now you look at who he's playing next to, Johnny Gaudreau, presumably, and that might age like incredibly, incredibly well. So I don't immediately hate it as much as some people did, but I can see why it's kind of a contested point. And
Yeah. I think it's a little too much. Just a little, just a tiny bit. You're a hockey player. I know you're amazing at the position that you do play, and I know a lot of comparisons earlier were like kind of in the same range of like Alex Ovechkin, where it's like he's a dominant scoring first kind of guy, but even Ovi back checks kind of thing, and like Laine's metrics, like you look at the analytics side of things, he's like nowhere to be seen in the defensive end. Like you can make some plays here and there, but when you're that low down the percentile, not only just for, you know, guys like him who are basically snipers, it really makes you think like, are you really giving him all this money just to be offense, and then have to worry about the rest of the guys basically having to play that other role to fill in the hole that he's basically leaving. And it may seem good on paper, like again, like we've made things like points that like all these are great moves, but again, we won't see how this really turns out till the regular season, because right now it looks bad. Honestly, it looks bad.
Yeah.
But maybe if you just outscore your opponents, you don't have to worry about it. Like as I always like to do, like the Leafs, just outscore your problems away, and you're fine.
Gonna be hard to do that without Bjorkstrand.
Yeah, so that's the other side of this. And I will say, like, at the very least, it's good for Columbus from I guess, a narrative perspective, or just a selling point perspective. They were able to keep Patrick Laine there. But after signing that deal the same day, they had to trade away Oliver Bjorkstrand to the Seattle Kraken in exchange for a third and fourth round pick in next year's draft. Oliver Bjorkstrand, $5.4 million for the next 4 years, is one of the, if not the biggest analytical darling that's out there.
Yeah. I think his WAR was like 94%.
Something like that, yeah. Now,
Jesus.
57 points in 80 games last year, but a lot of people are like, he was a minus 35.
Columbus was shit.
Columbus was a bad team. In case you didn't notice, they had theirs and Chicago's pick in the top 10 this season. But yes, Columbus, bad team. And their goaltending, while, we all love Elvis Merzlikins, and, he certainly had the sympathy of the entire hockey world for what he had to go through. And really what the entire Blue Jackets organization had to go through last season with the passing of Matisse Kovlenix. But the goaltending for the Blue Jackets last season and the defense in general, it wasn't good. Merzlikins, simple numbers here, but still, 3.22 goals against average and a 907 save percentage in 59 games. Jonas Korpisalo, 22 games, a 4.15 goals against average and an 877 save percentage. Woof. No shit that somebody in your top six is likely to have a horrible plus minus on that team. Yeah. No shit. Like that, it's just bound to happen. Like Okay, any guesses from you two or what number, and hey, if you want to guess the player, go ahead. Who had the best plus minus on the Blue Jackets last season?
Ugh, I hate doing this because plus minus is so irrelevant. I don't check it anymore.
It is, but still,
I would
humor me.
Who had the best plus minus?
You don't have to guess the player, but you can guess. You can guess the best.
What the best plus minus
The
was?
best number.
I'm gonna say the best number is -4.
And
It's probably Texier with like a fucking 3 or something.
Tessier was at a 0. He was at an even.
Damn.
So the worst plus minus on the team was Bjorkstrand at -35. The best was a tie between Gabriel Carlson and Gregory Hoffman, who were both +6. Neither played more than half the season. So really it was Jack Roslovich, who was a +2 through 81 games.
Lol.
A fucking +2. It was a bad team defensively and in goal. Like, you can't look at just the plus minus and be like, oh, shit. Like, again, 57 points. So, in terms of what this means for Seattle, fucking GG's, Ron Francis. Goddamn. Every other GM in the league should honestly have to get punched in the face by their toughest guy on the roster for not going out and getting Bjorkstrand for a third and a fourth. Even if it would have put you in a situation where you were like Columbus and had to move cap out anyway, that is fucked. Like, in the world that we live in, where supposedly teams are taking an analytical approach more seriously, I don't believe you. I don't, because a player like this should not be going for that much. And even from a base standpoint, a third and a fourth for who was a 57-point scorer, 28 goals on a bad team, third and a fourth is still so far under market value, pretty much no matter what way you cut it.
Yeah, because though the third and the fourth is likely not an NHLer. Like, maybe you get a role player. Like, you're essentially saying maybe a role player of the future for this top 6 guy. That's insane to me. Why don't you pay a third and a fourth to get rid of Nyquist?
Exactly. So from the Columbus perspective, right? Keeping Patrick Laine, even if you have to slightly overpay him, is pretty damn solid. You brought in Johnny Gaudreau, pretty damn solid. But then again, you look, why the fuck did you sign Eric Goodbranson to 4x4? Yes, okay, you needed some toughness, the physicality, the veteran leadership. You don't pay 4x4 for it. And then, as Sin alluded towards, you have Jake Voracek still making 8.25. Gustav Nyquist is making 5.5. Nyquist is at least on an expiring deal. They have 2 more years, this season and next, of 8.25 for Jake Voracek. Why? Yeah. Like, pay the premium.
Imagine their top 6 if they kept Bjorkstrand.
So I'll tell you what it would have been.
God.
I'll tell you exactly what it would have been. So right now, their top line is listed as Gaudreau, Roslovich, and Laine. Pretty damn good. And then your second line would have been Nyquist or Voracek, Jenner, and Bjorkstrand. Sick. Third line, Robinson, Sillinger, Tessier. Not bad, man. Like, I'm sorry, like,
weak down the middle, which isn't great, but like,
their 3 centers are Roslovich, Jenner, and Sillinger at the moment, and then Corrali presumably on the 4th line. Kent Johnson can also play center.
That's like a 2C and 2 3Cs. I guess you could say Jenner's higher end 3C, but I don't know. He's not really.
2 middle sixers, a 19-year-old, and a 4th line center. Yeah. And again, like, you have these teams out there that have a shitload of cap space that haven't really weaponized it yet. Projected cap space for the Ducks right now is $25.8 million. The Coyotes, $23 million. Buffalo, $19.6. Those are the top 3 teams in terms of open cap space right now. You mean to tell me that it was worth getting rid of Bjorkstrand over, again, giving up a pick or, a pick and a middling prospect to get a team like that to take on one of those 2 worst contracts? Because, again, Columbus, like, you have all of your draft picks except this year's 5th, and you have some of those, like, we can afford to give up a 22-year-old Kirill Marchenko. who was a second-round pick in 2018. He's just presumably coming over from the KHL, where he's not that bad, but at the same time, KHL, who the fuck knows? Like, you can give up that guy. You can give up Trey Fix-Wolansky. Like, there are some guys here where it's like, yeah, maybe they end up being something for somebody else, but right now it's way more valuable for you to get rid of one of those horrible contracts, especially when we just talked about earlier on in the show, like the Metro is a fucking minefield. And if you're bringing in Goodrow and keeping Laine, that's you being like, hey, we intend to compete. And you took away a great piece that would have allowed you to compete. It's almost like Philadelphia being like, oh, we could give up pieces to get rid of JVR and bring in Goodrow, but we're not going to do that. So I don't know, man. Like, Jarmo Kekalainen, for me, deserves some credit, for bringing in Johnny Goodrow. But at the same time, how significantly better are they at the moment?
Yeah.
Compared to what they possibly could have been had they made slightly different moves. I don't know. I think he deserves like a B, maybe, but he could have gotten an A for an off-season grade. So, I don't know. But maybe I'm just trying to shit on the Blue Jackets fans parade right now. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's giving away Bjorkstrand and signing Goodbranson were awful moves. Like, I don't understand that at all. Like,
And
it's like you wouldn't even...
Go ahead.
Do they still have to clear space? Is that what
They
you're
still
saying?
have to sign Emil Bemstrom as an RFA,
Oh.
who will likely be $1 million or under, so they can probably do it without trading a piece, but they honestly might still have to.
Yeah, like, that's the
gonna be
thing. Like,
close.
had they not signed Goodbranson to that, like, they 100% would not have had to give up Bjorkstrand.
I can't imagine the market for Goodbranson was if we don't give him 4x4 on day one, he's gone to somebody else that would have. But then again, NHL GMs are crazy.
Yeah, it's like those right-handed fucking defensemen, dude. Like, ugh. Anyway, right shot, I should say, because they're all lefties. But yeah.
If only I was better at skating, man. What could have been?
Yeah.
What could have been? And then, of course, the main event of this podcast. Everyone knew it was coming. It was the biggest piece of information that dropped on Friday night. Aside from the Boston Red Sox.
Some scrub steals Joe Thornton's number in Florida.
Aside from the Boston Red Sox.
That.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, I'm busy playing Cards Against Humanity at a friend's house with a bunch of people, having a couple drinks. It's a fun time. And all of a sudden I see, the Red Sox are getting destroyed, and it's only the 5th inning. And then I get
you have some more drinks.
And then I get another message. I'm like, oh, God, how bad's the Red Sox score now? Matthew Tkachuk traded to Florida. Fuck. So, the terms everyone knows at this point. Tkachuk dealt to the Panthers alongside a conditional 4th-round pick. It will be a 4th-round pick regardless. Calgary picks up Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwint, and a 2025 first that is lottery protected, but it is a 1st-round pick regardless. Tkachuk, also, it was technically a sign and trade, signed an 8-year extension with Calgary before the trade was made official at $9.5 million per. Gentlemen, do you recall your initial reactions to this trade?
I could not believe that Calgary got this much. I still can't really. Like, it's settled a bit. You understand Huberdeau and Weegar on expiring deal. It doesn't matter. That really still doesn't matter. Like, crazy. I guess from Florida's perspective, it's no guarantee that they would have signed in Florida, blah, 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 blah. But, like, you could have signed one of them for sure. Like, this trade costs Huberdeau in a first. Why the fuck are Weegar and Schwint in there?
Right.
Like,
and God, your initial reaction before we get into talking about the details and kind of what it means for both sides.
Hey, yo! I was just like, what the fuck is this deal? Honestly, I was so confused. Like, you could have gone, like Sin said, you could have gone away with, like, a lot less. And I think because they got away with so much extra, did they not see did they oversee their value in terms of how they thought Matthew Tkachuk was. Like, was the sign and trade the extra year not worth? Was it worth that extra? Like, it makes you think.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think that's a big part of it is you make that deal, you get the extra year, the full 8 instead of 7. That's also a factor. So in terms of what this means for Florida, I mean, number one, like people have been talking a ton about like, okay, there's just been a shitload of roster turnover since Bill Zito has gotten there. You do give up Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar, a legit top line forward and a legit second pair defender. Mm-hmm. You know, Weegar again.
Analytical gem, by the way, Mackenzie Weegar.
Yes. And that's
I don't care if he made
where...
goofball turnovers at time or goofball plays in his own end at time. He's still an analytical gem. And if you want to cherry pick a couple plays and define a player like that, you're a fucking moron, Florida fans.
Like, you can't even say, like, okay, like he had a bad playoff. He had 1 point in 10 games. Not a lot of Panthers really thrived in those last 4 games. Now, did they? He had 44 points in 80 regular season games. So he puts up points as a defender. Not always playing next to Aaron Ekblad because he's had health issues. Stands out from an analytical perspective. You're getting that. And by the way, only makes 3.25 for this upcoming season. How valuable is that to Florida when you have a $10 million goalie and you're giving up that in this trade? Are you insane? And of course, then there is also Jonathan fucking Huberdeau. Like, I get it. He and Tkachuk play different styles. Tkachuk had a 100-point season. Jonathan Huberdeau had a 115-point season this year. 115 points, man.
And if you look, he's actually been doing that, not obviously 115 points, but he's consistently scored at a higher rate than Tkachuk has.
Yep.
Oh, but Tkachuk is like 4 or 5 years older, and sure.
You know what I think this is?
Or Huberdeau's 4 or 5 years older than Tkachuk. Excuse me, but
yeah, that's why you throw in the first if you're going straight up for Huberdeau. Tkachuk, by the way, because the age difference. It doesn't make sense to include Weegar or Schwint. I will die on that hill. Here's what I think this is. This is Florida panicking about getting absolutely demolished in the playoffs. Think about Toronto panicking and picking up sandpaper. Florida panics and picks up the biggest piece of fucking sandpaper in the league because he's also got skill, but he's the biggest piece of sandpaper in the league. And they panic so hard that they give up their top scorer, an amazing defenseman. Cole Schwint, we'll see. Probably a role player of the future, if he makes it.
Yeah, I mean, he was a third-round pick in 2019. Like, he's 21 years old. Like, he played 3 games for the Panthers this year. He's on the bubble right now.
Yeah. But the first is also, lottery protected, sure, but you don't expect to have to use that. But good job lottery protecting it just in case.
So, for the Panthers, like, yes, you get Matthew Tkachuk, and that's an amazing pickup, and you get 8 years of him, and that's amazing. But man, losing Huberdeau and Weegar is tough. I mean, even if you don't think you're going to be able to bring back both of them, like treating Mackenzie Weegar as a self-rental, that's not the worst way to go. And right now, the Panthers
if you're going all in, why not? Like, people are like, well, what if they couldn't sign him? If you're going all in, go all in. Like, stop trying to, like, here's the thing. You don't have a first in the next 3 years of drafting. Why are you why are you all of a sudden trying to get younger? Like, that's what I heard this thing. Well, we got younger. Like, did you though? Because you gave up prospect, you gave him first. You technically didn't. If you're going all in, go all in. You don't need to worry about getting younger. You didn't get better from this trade. You got worse.
Especially too, like, they're $3 million over the cap right now.
Yeah.
I don't think they have any obvious LTIR option. Like, Duclair will start the season on IR, which leaves them about 300, nearly 400K over the cap, so they can technically maneuver that. But at the same time, like, I get it. You have a $10 million goalie in Bobrovsky that's essentially an unmovable contract, and it kind of fucks you. But now I look at this, and here's the Panthers' projected lines. According to Cap Friendly, as of 3 hours ago on July 25th, 2022. Tkachuk, Barkov, Reinhardt. Holy fuck, that should be amazing. Verhaeghe, Sam Bennett, Patrick Hornqvist at 35 years old, making $5.3 million. That's not the move you try to make to get rid of that player to free up more cap space?
Yep.
Okay. Third line, Ryan Lomberg, Anton Lundell, and former Senator Colin White. You don't really know what you're going to get out of Colin White at this point. And then fourth line, Cousins, Luotz-Ryan, and Balsers.
Oh.
Like, I don't know about you, man. Like, on paper, like, Patrick Hornqvist is in your top 6?
Yeah.
Sin, sorry if you take offense to this. That is Sharks-esque.
Depth.
That is Sharks-esque of so much high-end talent. And then it's like, all right, Lomberg and Cousins, and there's Luotz-Ryan in the mix. Like, no offense, I don't know if that Sharks model is what you necessarily wanted to follow. You could argue there was some bad luck that it didn't work out. And then their defense, Gustav Forsling, Aaron Ekblad. Forsling, analytical darling, pretty solid, not quite Uyghur level. Mark Stahl and Radko Gudas, Lucas Carlson, and for some reason you're paying Brandon Montour $3.5 million a season.
Tell me they didn't go more sandpaper. Tell me they didn't panic and go grit. Like this is the classic trap that GMs fall into when they get their asses handed to them in the playoffs. And this was honestly a like, at least they didn't go out, sign Wayne Simmons and other stuff. No, they traded for Tkachuk.
I mean,
he's a great player, but we also have to talk about people calling him a generational talent because good Lord, that gives me the largest headache on the planet.
Feel free to rant now before we talk about this from the Calgary perspective.
Yeah.
I think Florida-wise, we kind of summed it up. Like, you get an amazing player, but so much of the team makeup surrounding this deal, it doesn't feel like this gigantic W on paper.
Yeah, so I hear a lot of people, I feel like it's copium, like calling him a generational talent, but then they switch, he's a generational power forward. Like, we're not separating player types now, are we? And then saying generational of this because he's one of the best. Like, would you consider him right now like the top power forward in the game? Like,
see, I find that
how do you
probably, but I also I find that discussion to be a little bit difficult because I feel like the term power forward has evolved fairly consistently over the past few years.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, off of his play style, Joe Pavelski is a power forward, getting to the front of the net all the time. He's the first one in front of net to try and deflect pucks and shit like that. Like, I just feel like the term has evolved so much, but yeah, if you were to think of like traditional big body, but also has skill player, then yes, Matthew Tkachuk fits that. And it is tough to think of someone who is better in the NHL right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's still weird to me that we're using I feel like we're very cheapening the word. McDavid's a generational talent because there's not a fucking player like him in his generation as good as him. If you're gonna say Matthew Tkachuk, you're I don't know, like because he's in McDavid's generation. You're saying, well, no one technically plays like he does. A lot of people do. Is he better than them? Yes, but McDavid is such a level above everyone else. You know who's not too far off from Matthew Tkachuk? Brady Tkachuk, Mark Stone. If Timo Meier has another good point season, you could even argue him because his 75 points is similar to what Tkachuk's production was before this last season. Like, there's several other people who do what he does. There's no one that really comes close to McDavid. Maybe McKinnon, but it's still not. It's a whole other level visible. And I really struggle calling someone a generational talent, especially if you're being specific about their skill set. Because in that case, it's like, what's I don't know. To me, it's just weird. Like, you're watering down the term, I think. Franchise. He's a franchise player. Yes, absolutely a franchise player. He's what you build around. But generational talent, I think, is a little bit too much. I don't know.
I don't disagree with that at all. And like I said, I don't really like the idea of being like, well, he's a generational
Power
talent. Like
forward.
he's a generational power forward, a generational playmaker, generational role player.
Yeah.
Like he's a generational locker room guy.
Because how are we going to have a generational two-way forward? Bergeron?
Well,
We're going to call Bergeron
Patrice
generational?
Bergeron. We already have one.
Yeah, but I wouldn't even call him. I know. I'm sorry, Tougie. I would not call him a generational talent. Like I'd call him a franchise talent because, goddamn, look at what that man does. But see, now Tougie has to think. Ryan O'Reilly, very close to Bergeron in terms of skill set.
We'll see
I'm
if he
sorry,
does.
and I know you'll probably argue, but yeah, we'll see
I
about the
will.
longevity.
Yeah, exactly.
But I say
Let's see
very
him
similar.
play through a hole in his lung in the playoffs.
Yeah,
damn it.
but is that does that also define generational? How long you play? Because in that case, you could cut out.
I would say no,
Mario
just
Lemieux.
because someone like Mike
Yeah.
Bossy's career was cut so short, and he is still 100%
Yeah.
a generational talent. So
Yeah,
I agree with that whole conversation, though. Again,
the
it's
waters are so murky now, and it pisses me off.
It's literally the elite conversation. Just using the term generational rather than elite.
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing. So I think you guys get it. Endo, did you have anything else to add about just this trade from the Florida perspective, or are we good to move on?
It was a trade. I think one team walked away with a lot more than they probably should have, but honestly, I want to see how this affects the season. I was thinking more about the Bobrovsky situation with their goaltending, where the only way they get rid of that contract ever would be like a 3-team trade or something ridiculous like that. And the likelihood of that happening in today's NHL, very, very slim. The last time we had a 3-team trade for a goaltender, I think it was the Leafs. It was Islanders, Leafs, and Chicago. Because, was it? They sent Leonard from the Islanders to the Blackhawks.
Oh yeah, the Leonard trade. Oh my god,
And
what trade
then-
are you even referencing? But yeah, the Leafs were technically involved in the Robin Leonard deal. Jesus.
So the way it worked is that they took his whole salary, whatever there, and they sent a portion of it to the Leafs, and the Leafs sent him over to Vegas. So for one season, the Leafs technically were paying Robin Leonard, and I made the joke about having to get a Leonard jersey as a Leaf because technically speaking, he's a Leaf.
Yeah.
But
So
not
Bobrovsky,
speaking.
by the way, has a no movement clause this upcoming year and next, 2024-25, and the season after. He still has the no movement clause, but also submits a 16-team no trade list. So theoretically, unless they buy him out,
16-team?
yeah. So theoretically, unless they buy him out, he will not be moved earlier than the 2024-2025 season.
And that's an expensive buyout too, especially making $10 million a fucking year. Holy.
So that's at least 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, I heard some Florida fans saying, "Yeah, we're going to trade him next year." I'm like, "How?" I'm like, "Wait, there's no way he's almost on his last year." Like,
so
yeah.
a Bobrovsky buyout. Jesus Christ. So a Bobrovsky buyout. If they did it this year, he'd only cost 5.75 against the cap, then 6.75 up until 2026 when his deal were to end, and then they'd have to pay 1.75 for 4 years after that. Once the deal were to originally have been up. Got to be honest, I'd buy out Sergei Bobrovsky.
that's pretty harsh, but yeah.
You save
Yeah.
$4 million, $3 million, $3 million, $3 million, and then have a 1.75 hit for 4 extra years.
Actually, yeah, that's not
100% I
horrible.
buy that
Yeah.
out. Because as it is right now, a problem affecting the Panthers, I don't think a lot of people realize, they have $6.5 million in dead cap this season. 1.1 of that from Scott Darling's buyout,
Right.
and $5.4 million of Keith Yandel.
Oh yeah.
Some rough times for the Florida
Right.
Panthers. The Calgary Flames, this trade from their perspective. Sin kind of hit on that main point right out of the gates. You pick up Huberdeau, you pick up Mackenzie Weegar, but they are both UFAs at the end of this season. I am surprised this deal was not made with the conditions that a deal was already worked out with one, if not both of them. Cole Schwinn, again, who knows, a first-round pick isn't bad. So for Calgary right now, it comes down to whether or not those two will sign. If they don't, hey, you have some great fucking deadline pieces. But remember what I said
As
earlier
long as you use them, yeah.
about
throw.
the market potentially being screwed up. This draft has been so fucking hyped. How many of those bubble teams are going to want to make a deal to get a player like that? I don't know. It's really
I think
risky.
it's only the buyers. I honestly only the top buyers are going to want those guys, I think.
And it feels like to me, how many of those top buyers have already essentially given up a lot of those picks? The Florida Panthers don't
Yeah.
have a first rounder in each of the next 3 years. Like, who are we considering a super high level team, like slam dunk, over the next few years? Like, I'm opening up a couple of team pages here of names that come to mind for me, at least. Like, we already kind of mentioned Florida. Toronto, they have all 3 of their picks.
Yeah.
LOL trying to afford a Huberdeau or a Mackenzie Weegar, although Mackenzie Weegar's cheap enough. LOL, Toronto should be in on that.
If Toronto doesn't get Mackenzie Weegar, they're fucking idiots.
Tampa's
they
right
should
up
be all
against the
over him.
cap already, and they don't have a first round pick in each of the next 2 years. Like the Rangers, the Oilers have no cap space. The Avs have very little cap. Like, I don't know what the market is, and that's my worry for the Flames. Like, yes, you were feeling a hell of a lot better after losing Tkachuk and after losing Goodrow after this trade, but I just don't know what the hell that market is if they can't end up re-signing these 2 guys. I'd be worried about that, because this 2023 draft, I don't know what it is, but we think back 20 years ago to the 2003 draft, and I swear the hype level seems to be just as high as it was then for that draft.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the only way Calgary loses this Flame is if both of those guys walk.
Yeah.
Sorry, the only way Calgary loses the trade is if they both walk. If they sign, honestly, one of them, it's a win.
Oh, they lose the Flame too. That fucking fan base will be extinguished if both those guys walk.
That would be, true living. Like, how do you do that? How do you make a trade like that and then fuck up your asset management again?
Endo's rooting for it, considering Sid Sixero just put out a
Yeah.
tweet saying that Brad Treliving's one of the most underrated GMs of all time. So,
Oh no,
Fucking suck an egg and report on the fucking weather.
I love Sid,
Jesus
dude.
Christ.
I fucking love him. Just the way he pisses off every Canadian on earth is like one of the best things I've ever seen. Anyway, yeah. So you make a good point about the what the market's going to be like, and I really didn't consider, like, man, maybe those bubble teams don't go out and get a guy like that. But if you're Calgary, and like, if you're gonna sell at the deadline, because you retain on him, like, do everything. Weegar you can easily move, and if you retain 50% plus the deadline and already playing most of the season, he's like a sub $1 million player for someone to pick up under cap, essentially. Like, that's really good for a guy who's gonna probably play some top 4 minutes. You could at least get a first, but yeah, you bring up the point. Who can give up a first? At least one, because it's going to be at least one with retention for a guy like Weegar. Huberdeau, probably you move for like 2 firsts. If
in a normal market.
In a normal market, yeah, like even at a deadline, I don't know.
Like, if Matthew Tkachuk, I get it, the age difference and whatever, but if Matthew Tkachuk, a 104-point guy, is worth this type of haul, then Jonathan Huberdeau, 115 points last season. Like, yes, he's a little bit older, but he's in the prime of his career right fucking now. Like, what does he get? It's just, that's what I hate about this trade, is we have to wait. We're not really going to know a quote-unquote winner of this trade for a long time, and our earliest look at, like, who immediately gets the win won't be until the day after the trade deadline of this upcoming season, because that is when we'll know whether or not Huberdeau or Weegar are still going to be members of the Flames, or what the haul was that Calgary managed to get for them.
Yeah.
So,
if they're able to get like 3 firsts for those 2 guys, like, that would be pretty nuts. Probably some other picks as well. That'd be like 4 firsts for Tkachuk. That's level of when I used to play franchise mode back in the day and like trade for a guy like Patrick Kane for like all the first round picks like that I had. Like, it was like 5 first round picks. You can get Patrick Kane. Like, yeah, it's nuts.
So, all in all, decent for Florida. We can kind of see what you're doing, but man, that was pricey to get it done. You do have Tkachuk for 8 years. It's pretty damn good. But man, I'm shocked you had to give up that much. And for Calgary, all of this hinges upon those 2 UFAs and what they do moving forward. And again,
you
you
won it on the surface, but now you got to manage those assets for sure.
Yeah, if Brad Treliving is as good of a general manager as Sid Sixero thinks he is, then the Calgary Flames, by this time next season, whether or not they're rebuilding or they kept Huberdeau and Weegar and are going for it, they're going to be in a much better, like, slam dunk, like, yes, they're in a good spot type of thing. There won't be too much debate to really have there. With that, everybody, we thank you very much for listening and or watching this week's show. We will be back next week. Again, we are on a week-by-week basis here up until really towards the beginning of the season, as we don't have that much, of course, to talk about, although when something big like this happens, you know, we can kind of have a more extended conversation about it. Endo Mills, what do you have going on, my friend, over the next little week or so?
I've got a lot of streams going on, actually. An official stream schedule is now out. I believe I'll try my best to stick to it, even though, you know, I probably won't. Let's be very honest here. You can catch me live on Twitch Monday to Friday, 2 to 4:30 Eastern. Wednesday to Thursday, 5:30 to 8. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. 2.5 hour streams, because fucking I'm a busy ass man. I ain't got time for longer streams like that. But you can also catch me making fun of Tougie on his stream as well, as tradition.
Again, Sin, my friendo, what are you?
Hello. Yeah, you know, follow me on Twitter at SinFTW Pride. You can find me on Instagram, Paul Cinders. And still got my music up everywhere that you can find music. You know, Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Paul Cinders as well. And of course, my YouTube channel just started a new franchise mode with Alexander Ovechkin in the Capitals, the retirement home that is the Capitals, I should say. Good Lord, that is a tough team to manage. But of course, you know, we're doing pretty good. You have to tune in and see it. We're about 3 episodes in right now, so you're still early on, and have a lot of fun with us.
I will mention I have a new franchise mode starting up very soon as well. An idea
Fuck
that
you, don't steal my thunder.
An idea that Sin said he would steal if I didn't do it immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. God damn it. It's
But
a really good idea.
I will say both of my ongoing series, once this starts, are fantasy based, whereas yours, I think, isn't like a Draft to Glory or anything like that. So
I tried to make a realistic trade, though. I know everyone's always on me about making more realistic trades. I tried to trade for Pacioretty for future considerations, and the game didn't let me. So sorry, guys. I tried to be realistic. There you go.
Yeah. So ultimately, again, we will leave it there. I'll be streaming a lot this week as well. I got to make up for lost time. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, I think Friday, definitely Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday and Saturday. I'm going to have afternoon streams as well. Mixing it in again, got to make up there for some lost time after a very busy August. Check out Endo streams, of course. Check out Sin on the YouTube side of things. You can find me basically everywhere. Manscaped.com, code Tougie. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.